Please welcome the co-founder and Chief Technology Officer of Picnic, Daniel Gabler, who'll be interviewed by ShopTalk's Vice President of Original Content and Strategy, Ben Miller.
Well, good morning, Daniel,
Good morning.
and welcome back to Shop Talk Europe. Thank you for joining us again.
Very happy to be back.
And look, so Shop Talk, it's an event for everybody across retail, so there'll be many people in the room who aren't part of the grocery industry, also some that don't live in the market in which you operate. So go on, give us that 1 minute summary for the people who don't know you. Who or what is Picnic?
So let me maybe give a very quick introduction. So Picnic is an online supermarket that we started a couple of years back in Netherlands, where we actually grew step by step, neighborhood by neighborhood, city by city, area by area, country by country. We are now operating in 3 countries, so Netherlands, Germany, and France. We are serving a couple of million customers both in the Netherlands and Germany, and in France we more recently started.
Okay.
And the uniqueness of the business model is that we are actually have a lowest price and no delivery fee consumer proposition, and have actually done quite a bit of logistical innovation to make this possible.
Okay. So I want to come back to the logistics of how you made that happen, because there's sort of a contradiction in kind of low cost, low price and online grocery, but we'll come back to that. But how's the business performing? What sort of scale are you at now?
So we are now in total we are serving around 5 million customers in the 3 countries. We have made last year a little bit more than 1 billion sales.
Okay.
And in that kind of range, we are also expecting a significant growth of around 40% this year.
About 40% growth. Okay, incredible. One of the big things that's happened, one of the major achievements since you were last with us at Shop Talk, is a really significant Series E raise for you guys. Well over 355 million euros, well over the billion euro scale now in amount you've raised, which in this current climate's incredible numbers. So I guess firstly, congratulations.
Thank you.
And secondly, this will see burning quite a hole in your pocket. What are you going to use this for? What are you going to spend the money on?
So we actually we waited quite a bit after COVID with the fundraising. So what we saw is that during COVID, basically everything exploded, demand-wise and also supply-wise, etc. And then after COVID, we looked quite a bit into how is the kind of the new customer, the new consumer behavior, realizing what our kind of customers are really looking for, how is consumer demand developing.
Okay.
And when we felt comfortable that the kind of the new proposition that we have developed in 23, that this will also really scale in the other countries, then we raised at the beginning of the year 350 million.
Okay, so I get the strategy and the timing. What's the money going to be spent on? What are you going to do? What are you going to build with another 355 million?
So the money will be spent mainly around 2 topics. Number 1 is automating our fulfillment processes. So we started with manual fulfillment. We have actually started 2 automated fulfillment concepts, have launched our second automated fulfillment concept just a couple of months ago. And we are now building a 3rd automated fulfillment concept, which is now integrating fulfillment with last mile and also with first mile. So this is one. And the other one is certainly further expansion, first in the countries where we are operating. So massive growth in Germany and France. Then obviously there are many, many more countries that can benefit from Picnic.
Okay, great. There's a number of things I want to build on. So let's start with, you're obviously, if you're raising money and you're talking about the opportunity, very positive about the potential for online grocery in Europe. But penetration actually still remains stubbornly low when you compare it to many other sectors. I guess what makes you so positive about the outlook, and what do you think is the operating model that you're going to need to win in this space?
So what we saw during COVID is a kind of a massive explosion in demand. But what is even more interesting, if you zoom in that kind of explosion, is that there's a lot of kind of short-term customers that through kind of quick commerce and other models moved online, but actually moved again offline.
Okay.
But if you look behind the numbers, there is a kind of a steady trend for more families and a more steady kind of consumers that has been growing over the years. Definitely not as extreme as we have seen maybe in US or in the Asian market, but that is continues to grow in the same speed roughly, and even accelerating a bit as we have seen until 2020. So this is one. The second one is also consumers are actually looking for a model that allows them to, on the one hand, get inspired, but on the other hand also to to shop in a price-conscious way. Hence, the proposition, lowest price, no delivery fees, but also providing a great service at the door and having kind of inspirational shopping experience is something absolutely essential for customers.
Okay. So you're taking, and we've spoken before about a market by market, city by city, region by region approach. How is that helping you on your journey towards profitability?
So the key thing for us was not so much to launch in many kind of cities or many countries at one go and then grow every let's say, at all sites at the same time, because this is extremely OPEX and CapEx intensive. But what we tried to do is that for every kind of new area, for every new customer that we are approaching, that we create enough density and a proof point in the specific area, in the specific city, that gave us enough confidence to move to the next city, to the next area, to the next country. That meant also that actually we have been growing certainly slower than some of our other competitors, because we actually didn't feel at some point comfortable that we can make the next growth step, because we have not figured out this kind of healthy core that you can scale 10x, 100x, 1000x.
Okay, so it's local density by local density. You talked about your automated fulfillment concepts at a core. So for everybody in the room, tell us to understand, what does that look like? Are we talking centralized distribution? Are we talking micro fulfillment? You don't have stores. How do you make that work?
So in a fulfillment process, essentially the key difference between manual and automated fulfillment is that in a manual fulfillment center, you go as an order picker to the product. And in automated fulfillment, you have robots or conveyor belts that bring the robot product to you, that you can actually pick this. This is a kind of a pretty straightforward automation concept. But if you look to fulfillment, then this is actually only around 15 to 20% of the actual work that is happening in the fulfillment center. There's many other topics that are happening. This is the inbound process. This is product quality check, verification. That is also the outbound process. This is trunking. There's many things that we have actually put a lot of effort to automate, those kind of steps that are more peripheral to the fulfillment process than actually the core processes. So this is number one. The second one is we're looking also in an fulfillment automation concept that is integrating with the first mile, but also the last mile. So that looking to an automated, let's say, full supply chain automation concept.
Okay, really interesting. You mentioned quick commerce a minute or so ago. You are not the first online grocery business to have raised a lot of money, but we're seeing consolidation. We've seen Getir, Gorillas, acquisition, exit the market. What have you and the Picnic leadership team, what have you learned from that? What's your observations on that? And what are you taking into your business model of how this model for online delivery and Q-com is evolving in Europe?
So what has quick commerce shown us is that actually how many customers you can, with a very attractive proposition, also encourage to move online. What it has not shown is actually how to keep them online. And that is mainly the kind of the challenge that we see in that kind of segment. There will certainly be a part of the market that is attracted by quick commerce, and we will see a bit which part or elements stays here. With Picnic, we have a next-day delivery model. So you order today, and we will deliver tomorrow. That is something what we can, in a very effective and scalable way, and cost-effective way, deliver to our customers. This is also what we believe in, that the kind of the large segment of the consumer base can be attracted by that. What is interesting there is that this is a market that has actually is moving just slow online. What you have seen is that quick commerce can very quickly move online, but also moves very quickly back offline. While actually the market that makes kind of next-day delivery is moving much slower online. However, this is a steady kind of a trend that we have seen over the last years, and we believe that we can easily reach double-digit kind of online grocery penetration in most European countries with that model.
Okay, and that's really interesting when you start to talk about customer loyalty and stickiness. Let's talk about Germany. It's a priority market for you. You're moving into Germany, much lower online penetration for groceries than some of the other large European markets. What are you doing to convince Germans to shop online, and why are you so positive about that market as an expansion priority for you?
So what we see in Germany compared to maybe UK or the Asian markets is that online has been for a long time just 3, 4, 5% of all the food retail was online. However, what we see is that the kind of the organizational structure of physical supermarkets simply made it very sticky for consumers to go still through the physical supermarket. Hence, we needed to make a significant advertisement effort to really convince consumers to give it a try. And what we see is that not so much that service becomes sticky after 1 or 2 attempts, but after 5 orders, a customer will stick with the online proposition, but not with the first and second. Hence, it is very important to have a kind of a customer journey then provides the kind of the experience towards the 5th order that you actually also stick with the online proposition.
Okay, so when you mean the sort of the market structure that makes it easier, do you mean the sheer number of grocery stores and the proximity to them in Germany, or loyalty?
This is about the loyalty of German consumers.
Yeah.
So German consumers are certainly very loyal to the physical supermarkets that they have been used to. And the second one is certainly also the density of the supermarkets.
Density, fantastic. So what are you bringing this new? How are you trying to disrupt this market? What are you giving German consumers they haven't had before?
So there are basically 3 things. So number 1 is there's an attractive price proposition. So that means we are at least, we are making a lowest price proposition, which means we are not more expensive than any physical supermarket that you can go to. The second one is we are delivering always fresh goods with the greatest service at the door. So this is a big difference to kind of the other services that we see in the German retail space. And the third one is, actually, we have also focused quite a bit on our private label. So that means, beside all the kind of A brands, we are providing also for all the kinds of white space and the gaps that typically supermarkets have in their assortment, a kind of a new proposition that complements it and that really tailors to the consumer demand that we see in Germany.
It's very interesting hearing you talk about being a low price in what is famously a low price market. But I want to step back, because one of the things that the Picnic have been very vocal about is on cross-border sourcing. Can you explain, well, first of all, share with everybody what you're doing, and then I want to get into a bit of the why and how.
So if you take a step back, so in many European countries, large retailers are very much focused on a single market. So you have the number 1, let's say the top 3 in Germany, in France, and UK are usually focused on a single country. So for those kind of retailers that have a very, very good view on the prices and also the buying prices in the country, have a little bit less kind of buying power towards cross-country buying. Okay. What we have seen, because we're operating in many, many countries, what we have seen is that actually there are very different kind of buying prices for the same type of products that are typically coming from the same factories in Germany versus Netherlands versus France. So hence, we started the dialogue with those kind of food producers to see, can we not actually buy some to the same price and sell it also to the same price in the different kind of countries? And there were all kind of reasons why that was not possible, but we actually worked very actively with basically food authorities, but also with the food suppliers to be able to sell, for instance, a specific product in Netherlands and in Germany for the same price. And that required quite a bit of attention, because also the product labeling itself prevented us to deliver or to sell it in one country. But by now we overcome those kind of challenges.
So, okay, well, I want to come back to the challenges, because let's be honest, what you're saying is it was more expensive to buy the same product in the Netherlands, so therefore we're buying it in Germany and selling it in the Netherlands. So, first of all, you're buying product with German labels. How legally can you do that? And what's the customer reaction been?
So let's start with the customer side. So essentially, customers were asking us, what is the reason that a specific product has a different price in one country versus the other country? And we simply didn't have an answer to this. So that means if you make a kind of a customer-first approach, where you simply want to offer the same product to the same price, then this is simply, we need to find a way to make that possible. What we actually provide is from a product labeling perspective, is we provide all the description in the respective country language in the German app, in the Dutch app, and then also the French app. Okay. And then we also started to basically to relabel those kind of products that you have also the same language on the labels in the country itself. Okay, interesting.
Clearly, I can imagine not a very popular move for the branded manufacturers. And I think that's really interesting. So one of the themes of the show has been around how relationships are changing. And there's been a lot of conversation, particularly amongst some of the grocery retailers and the CPGs, the FMCGs, about retail media and the importance to a P&L of a grocery retailer of the future with retail media. So creating such kind of what's the right term? Aggressive trading relationships. How does that go in hand with some of the moves we've seen about collaboration around retail media and ultimately the margin impact of that?
So retail media is a very interesting thing, and I've heard already and had a lot of discussions also over the last days here about that topic. So the interesting thing is obviously with retail media, it's roughly a gross equals net. So that's very attractive.
Yeah. Margin-wise.
Margin-wise. If you are a customer-first retailer, then you need to think very carefully, how do you have the right balance between what is right for your customer and what is right for your P&L. And we obviously also have a very careful consideration how far we can go with retail media and where it's not possible. In the discussion that we are now doing with this kind of cross-border retailing, that is obviously a kind of a topic that is not simplifying the discussions around retail media.
Yes.
But this is, we believe, more kind of a short-term effect, and on the long term, as long as consumers are benefiting from it, then essentially the entire ecosystem will also benefit from it.
Okay, so your story is we're driving volume, we'll grow our retail businesses together rather than an alternative source of
Altogether, we
margin.
will grow that kind of ecosystem, and hence it will be beneficial for everybody.
Interesting. Right, we're going to change tact. 3 or 4 minutes left. Obviously, Daniel, you're part of the founding team, but you stay on in an exec role as a CTO. One of the other big themes of the show has been how retailers and manufacturers across Europe are starting to use some of the new versions of AI. And I know AI, machine learning, has been baked into the Picnic model since the very start. So I'd really like to hear your thoughts on the opportunity, the value of the latest generations of AI and how you're going to bring it to life at Picnic.
So Picnic itself is a tech company that is in retail, is in food retail. So kind of machine learning AI has been a topic for us since the beginning. What is new and what we now see with generative AI and large language models is basically the 2 effects. Number one is it is much faster to get actually new ideas, ML ideas or machine learning ideas into the market and in the hands of customers, but also internal operators. And the second is also it becomes much cheaper to operate it. Okay. So that is I think very interesting and cheaper from the build perspective. Where we applied is said, for instance, if you think about a search in an app, you can move from classical keyword search to intent-based search to meal-based search. So that you simply just need to type in, I'm looking something, let's say, what is a nice meal for a kids party where we have 12 kids invited. So this is one of the things. Yeah. But the other thing is also, if you think about retailing, then it is not only collecting items from a store, but it's about actually collecting the right items for a meal, but maybe not just for the meal of today, but maybe for the meal of the entire week. And then you have specific food preferences and maybe health preferences. And this is the entire kind of transition that we are going into, where we're helping our consumers to really build the right meal setup for an entire week that is actually supporting your health ambitions.
Okay. So Daniel, whereabouts are you in terms of design through to implication for these? Because we've heard people talk about native language search before. What can I do on the Picnic app now in those areas? What's coming next? Where are you in terms of rollout?
So what you can do already now is the intent-based search. So that means if you're just looking for basically a kind of a red wine that pairs with some specific meat, then you will immediately get a kind of a response to this and give also recommendation what is a good match and what is not. What will come very soon is the kind of the more health-based meal planning for a longer term. Okay. So this is something which we are now very actively developing. Meal-based and recipe-based search exists already in the Picnic app since a while, similar to the rest of the industry. What is not yet existing and what we are very actively working on is how can you bring this really a step further to really think together with, let's say, how do you feed your family for the entire week, to have enough variance, to have kind of your health preferences included, etc.
Okay, interesting. One last question, Daniel. What's next? When we sit here in a couple of years' time, what will be the big things that Picnic will have achieved in that time?
So there are probably 3 things that we will certainly have achieved. So we talked a little bit in the beginning about expansion, which we will certainly continue for now in the kind of the 3 countries where we're operating, but we will for sure be in more countries. Automation, which we are now focusing on the supply chain side, but which we will see completely integrated, end-to-end integrated supply chain, where we'll actually have also the possibility to serve kind of new customers, new products, new kind of delivery models. A lot of stuff will be possible. And then you can also think a bit about beyond kind of pure food retail that will enable a lot of kind of new business models that I'm very excited about.
Interesting. Lots to come back to. Please join me in thanking Daniel Gabler.